This is Main Street with Gary Allen. Now, here's Gary.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Main Street. Gary Allen, your humble host with you. Hope all is well since the last time we saw each other, and hope everything is going well with you, staying warm out of this cold weather that we're having. Nothing much to report, just it's another day. We're doing another show, and it's a great show. Want to thank, first of all, the Japanese Gardens for their continued support of this particular program, which brings me to today's program. We have some members of the Friends of the Japanese Garden with us today. It's actually from the Ichimura Miami Gardens, Japanese Gardens in Miami. They haven't always been at their current location, which is the MacArthur COSWAY, but is their winter festival, February 2nd, from 10:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to talk about that an awful lot. So before we get too far into the weeds on this one, let me bring on board the president of Friends of the Japanese Garden, Mr. Rick Del Vecchio, and the vice president, the very charming and very lovely Maya Nakamura.
How's it going, Gary?
It's going fine. I'd rather talk to her than you, to be honest with you. She's much prettier to look at.
I know.
She's much prettier to look at. We were talking about, Japan before the program, and I said I've been to Japan a couple of times in my life, and the Japanese culture is so wonderful and beautiful. And I should have used it during the introduction, but I thought I'd use it now. In that part of going to these festivals, which you do about 3 to 5 a year, if I remember correctly, and part of this is learning the Japanese culture or the Asian culture, I guess. Maya, is that fair to say that each time when someone comes there, not only learning the Japanese culture, but some of the Asian culture is also intertwined? I know the languages may be a little bit different from Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, but there's still the same kind of culture. And the one thing that I loved about the Japanese culture, Asian culture in general, is how much they appreciate when someone gets to be older. They don't throw them away like in the bathwater. It's like as you get older, your wisdom is appreciated and thought of and asked of. Whereas in this country, we kind of, like Rick and I, they throw us away with the bathwater. They go, oh, these guys are old, get rid of them, throw them out with the bathwater, stuff like that. Maya, is that a fair assessment that the Japanese culture, Asian culture is very beautiful once you get to understand it and are surrounded by it?
Well, it's like the way we talk to the elders, we have to change, like the way we speak. Because English doesn't really have like a way to respect anybody because it's like all same, but we have a certain way to talk. So that shows like, we need to respect the elders. Yeah. And so, I mean, it may be changing a little bit, but we still have traditions like that.
Yeah. On February 2nd, you guys are having your winter festival. It's from 10:30 in the morning till 4 p.m. in the afternoon. It's free to get in through the front gate, is it not?
Yes.
Correct. Yes.
How about parking?
Parking is at either Jungle Island. We recommend Jungle Island. I'll tell you what, because you can park at Jungle Island or the marina, which is across the street.
Yeah.
It's $20 each place, but we work a deal with Jungle Island. They give us a $5 discount. So it's only $15 to park for the whole day. So when you consider if you're coming with a family of 4, you have a full day at the festival of entertainment for $15. You can't really beat it.
And I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the lineup that I have, and as there were the last time that they did a festival, which is about 3 months ago, I guess 4 months ago, it's always full of chock full of entertainment and everything like that. And Tommy, run the numbers below here for us, because they do have a website, Friends of the Japanese Garden. There's the phone number if you want to call and find out what's going on. You're going to get the gentleman, Mr. Del Vecchio, at 305-992-0703. The garden itself is located at 1101 MacArthur COSWAY. It's a beautiful facility. I remember passing by it. I never went to it when I was a young man, but it's a beautiful facility. Talk a little bit about. I know the garden has been in Miami since 1961. Rick, talk
Right.
about the evolution to where it got to the MacArthur Causeway and where it is going from here. What's happening new in the future?
Yeah, it was formed in 1961. Mr. Ichimura, the founder of Ricoh Corporation, was in Miami on a convention, a electronics convention,
Hmm.
with Ricoh Corporation, and he was looking out at Watson Island, and he was talking to a friend about what a beautiful place it would be to have a Japanese garden. And a commissioner heard him, a city commissioner heard him, and that's how it started, and they worked it out. Over the years, though, as you point out, the location has moved, and it's been closed down several times due to hurricanes, budget cuts, whatnot. But um, it seems to still open up, luckily. Which
Yeah.
from the city, of course. The city owns it and maintains it. And we work with the city. Our mission, our organization was founded in 1984. And the mission is to work with the city of Miami to help promote and maintain the garden and also promote the Japanese culture as well. Now, where it's going. The last time it was moved was several years ago when they moved Jungle Island from Pinecrest. It used to be Parrot Jungle. They
Yeah.
moved to Watson Island, and they had to move the Japanese garden out of the way. And we're right next to Jungle Island. That's where we've been for the last 15 years. I go 20 years actually,
Right.
2005. And Now another evolution is happening. An organization called the Watson Island Project. They just got passed this past August that they will build. They're going to buy out the Jungle Island, and they're going to build luxury condos there.
Hmm.
And there's about, I think it's like 15 acres of land that Jungle Island has. They're going to use about 6 to 8 to build these condos. And their plan then is to incorporate the rest of it, which is going to be 6 to 8 acres, with the Japanese garden, which will make it about 8 times the size. So that's where it is. And the article in the newspaper, the Herald, said that they're going to keep it a Japanese garden, and that the Miami Friends of the Japanese Garden will continue to maintain and operate it. Well, nobody asked us, so, but I actually just yesterday we had a meeting, Zoom meeting about our upcoming event, and I did send out emails to Mr. Damian Pardo, who's the new city commissioner for the garden, and there's also a new parks director, fellow Chris Evans, and there's also a new consul general in Japan, and I told them after this event we'd like to have a meeting with them and the folks from the Watson Island Project just to clarify, what exactly their plans are and how we best could work with them. But it all looks positive. And one of our other board members, Akiko Iwata, she is a designer of Japanese gardens. That's what she does for a living. She's done it for Marriott hotel chain and things like that.
Wow.
So we're going to pretty much push for her to be part of the new design team so they can keep it, the aesthetics of the Japanese garden the way it is.
Oh, absolutely. That would make sense to me. Maya, when it comes to the garden itself, now this is on February 2nd, which is what? Is that a Sunday or a Saturday?
Yeah,
It's a Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday. And it opens at 10:30. What can the people expect when they get there at 10:30 or 11 or 12:30? Or even if you show up at 3 o'clock, doesn't mean you're going to get kicked out at 4 o'clock. I mean, obviously not. And I've seen some beautiful pictures from there. Of the garden itself, but what can people expect? I mean, there's a lot of entertainment, scheduled for that day. Now, there's the demonstration, the drum demonstration, the tea ceremony. There's some other kind of ceremonies, and I know that a friend of ours, Rick, is going to be doing a flute, ceremonial flutes and stuff. And stuff like that. So between the two of you, talk about that a little bit, Maya, as far as some of the things. And there's a lot of stuff for children. So this is an ideal situation for you to bring the family enjoy a wonderful day, enjoy a new culture that you have maybe never experienced before, and you walk away with a feeling of, yeah, I've learned something here, altogether. But talk about it between you and Rick as to what to expect when people show up to enjoy the festival on the 2nd from 10:30 until 4 on the MacArthur Causeway.
Do you want to go first, or you want me to go a little bit? Or?
You talk a little bit about what you're going to do with it, and we'll go from there.
All right. So, Ichimura Garden is really, really tiny garden, and probably to get into the entrance and walk around, maybe like 5 minutes, you're done.
Yeah.
But actually, we have a lot of things happening. We have a main stage, which you expect to see, like Gary mentioned about the Japanese traditional drums, and the kendo, which is the part of the martial art. That they don't really use actual sword. It's a bamboo, and they fight for it. I mean, they do that form. And then also we have a Japanese music, the flute, and then besides the stage, we have a tea ceremony, which is the actual, traditional setting, and you get to try the green tea with a little sweet. That will cost a little bit because we need to pay the ingredients and stuff. And also, we have yukata, experience. So you get to wear the kimono and you can take pictures. Also, we have this gentleman. He owns the Japanese restaurant. He comes because Sunday is his day off, so he comes and bring the sushi and they do the sushi demonstration, like what to cook or how to make it. And there's a lot of experiment. And then, as you can see, I have this little horn growing on my head.
Yes, for a minute I thought maybe you were related to Moses or something,
So this one is the actually February 3rd in Japan. It's called Setsubun. Setsubun is actually dividing the season. And from that moment, we are welcoming the spring. So why it's a little bit off? It's not January 1st. Why? Because we're still based on the lunar calendar. So it's a little bit off. So like similar to Chinese New Year's. So we do share like a lot of cultures. Anyway, so what do you do for the New Year's? We welcome the good luck and we drive away the evil. So this is part of this ogre. So this one. And then how we do it, it's like a little ceremonies, and we have this roasted soybeans, and we use this to aim at this ogre, and they will run. And then what we say, that's what we do. And then we say bye to the devils, and then they welcome the happiness. That's what we do.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. When you are there walking around, now, are you walking around in a kimono or civilian clothes like you would be? Because, Maya is a school teacher. Do you walk around in the ceremonial kimono during that day, or
Not
what
really.
do you?
I may wear like for the festival happy coat, but usually I'm running around making sure everything is in order and stuff. So if I wear the kimono, I won't be able to run.
Okay, all right.
Well,
All right. My question to you is, both for you and Rick, as the day goes on and you're seeing new people come in or people that have been there before, what are some of the most interesting questions that you get about the Japanese culture, about the gardens itself? Because the culture itself is eye-opening. It's totally different than anything in America. Asian culture is totally different. It's the same as if you went to India or Pakistan, or you went to Spain or Germany. The culture is completely different than anything that we experience here in the United States. Do you find that with each festival, you're gathering new people who come back again and again and again to enjoy what goes on? Like you said, it's a real quick tour, but at the same time, what's that?
I'm trying to shut this off. Sorry about that. It's actually a video that I'll give you the I guess you call it the address to go see it. It's about a 2-minute video that really shows you the garden and the festival.
Oh, okay. But the bottom line is, Maya, what are some most often asked questions of you and some of the other people there about the garden and the Asian culture, the Japanese culture?
As usually people come, who were like, oh, we didn't know there's a Japanese garden. And then they come and
Yeah.
they, first thing they see is the flower arrangement display. It's totally different from Western style of flower arrangement. And they walk in, we have flower arrangement tables. It's like a workshop. So you get to learn how to do like Japanese way of arranging flowers. And we have a gift shop sells all the Japanese like cute stuff. We have a cosplay people. So um, we have like a questions from like little kids to the grown up, but usually it's like I'm going to Japan. So like where that's like the main questions I get. And
Yeah.
I tell them like what depends on what you like because Japan it's nature, history, or art, everything. So it depends on what your interest is. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I found it when I was there. Of course, I was 18, 19 years old at the time. I was a very young man. And I thought handsome at the time, but as time has gone on, I've been told otherwise. But in any particular, I told Maya, I love Japanese women. I really do. I just love them to death. But for some reason, they don't like me much. I guess I'm too Americanized, either that or I'm too ugly. One or the other. I can't quite figure it out which one it is. But um, do you find people who discover the garden are like, wow, I mean, we didn't know this was here, as you said.
Yeah.
And do you find that entices people? They keep coming back. You start to see familiar faces as time goes on.
Yes, actually, we have like some new people, and there's always like regulars. I think why they come back is we only have like event 3 times a year, and then
Hmm.
I ch- I'm usually the one in organizing activities, and I
Yeah.
defer every event. I have a different activities planned, so
Hmm.
yes, they come to enjoy that, and also they like to see because I think we're the only Japanese garden in Miami, so
Yeah.
they like to see what actual authentic Japanese culture is. So
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question and I pose this only because I have met young men and women who are from China or Korea, South Korea, or the Philippines, or they're from India or Pakistan, but they were born in the United States. They've never been to the country of origin where their parents came from or their grandparents came from. Do you find Asians in South Florida that know nothing about the Japanese culture who come to the garden and suddenly their eyes are open to what they've been missing?
it's hard to say because sometimes if they're like second generation, how much like parents actually like keep their traditions. So it's hard to say.
Yeah. And I think tradition is part of the Asian culture, as we discussed earlier. I think tradition is so important. I really, really do. And I know because Rick and I have been friends for 40 plus years,
Sure.
and he's like a brother to me. Do you find that, Rick, to be the case the way it is that maybe some of the cultures around
Yeah.
the world are being too Americanized or forgotten about completely?
Yeah. I mean, it happens with everybody that comes here, fortunately or unfortunately. I mean, I think back, my grandparents came from Italy in 1910. I've
Oh,
never been to Italy, so
What?
no, I've never been. And,
Oh my God.
of course, my dad spoke Italian and English, but my dad died when I was 6 years old. So
mm.
and my mother was not Italian. So I never got to learn the Italian language. Of course, my grandparents, but they moved to Florida in 1943. I wasn't even born yet. So, I'd only see them once in a blue moon. And again,
Yeah.
you're not going to learn Italian seeing them once every 3 years.
No.
But the food, my grandmother made great Italian food, and I learned some of that from her. But
Yeah.
other than that, I'm American. You just lose the any kind of tradition, and I see that even with the Hispanic friends I have. I mean, you
Yeah.
think about it. There are young Cuban kids today whose parents came from Cuba back in the 60s and they've never been to Cuba, and it happens. It's just,
Yeah. And
it's,
well, Maya, you seem to be still, as you said, you recently just got back from Japan,
Uh-huh.
and we talked before we went on the air the differences between the two countries. But I think it's fascinating. I just, I wish I could get down there for the festival, but you aren't serving Swedish meatballs, so it kind of leaves me
ah,
out in the cold anyway. It's an inside joke, Maya. It's an inside joke.
well,
Talk
also,
about the relation. Talk, huh?
we have a couple other guests, the board members, Michio Sloan. We've
Yeah.
got Akiko Iwata, and I believe they were both. And Maya, were you born in the United States? Oh, you were born in Japan. What about Maya? See, this is funny. I only
All
know
of
her for
us,
10
all
years.
of us, all of us.
All of you were born in Japan.
Yes.
I never see. You learn something every day, Gary. We have to have this show
Yes.
more often.
Yes, we really
Okay,
do. I
so
want.
you're basically first generation Japanese here in this country for yourselves. That's good. But
And she's so nice. She's
yeah,
so nice.
but but then again, like I say, as the generations go, hopefully, children, their children will go. I mean, I don't know if Michio goes back to Japan. I know our son lived in Japan for years. Yeah, so they sent them to Japan
Yeah.
to get disciplined. he was getting too
Yeah.
Americanized too quick.
Yeah. I mean that's the other thing too. I mean, if you go back to a lot of these cultures around the world, there's a little more discipline with the children treating the adults as compared to how the children in America treat their parents and their parents treat them. I mean, there's a whole different thing. Let's get on to the Japanese garden and your relationship to the Dade County community, the Miami-Dade, Broward community. How is that working, and how does it work, and how do you stay in touch with everyone?
Okay. Interesting. For the last 6 years, the city commissioner was a gentleman named Ken Russell. It turns out that Ken Russell's mother was Japanese and was very good friends with one of our past board members, Miko Kabuto, who unfortunately passed away a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
While Ken was involved, we had really good rapport with the city and working with the garden. And again, there's 480 parks in the city of Miami. So, the city has a huge budget to take care of these parks. And how well do they take care of the Japanese garden? Well, as Maya pointed out, it's a 1.2 acre garden. And unfortunately, they have somebody clean it all the time. There's usually somebody there, raking the leaves, picking up dead bamboo and stuff like that. But they don't really have a lot of money to renovate. And when statues break or things are stolen, it's hard to get them replaced. And
Right.
Ken was pretty good at helping us maintain it. Ken actually ran for Senate 2 years ago and did not win. But he had to give up his commission seat. So there's a new commissioner, Damian Pardo. I have yet to meet him, but we're going to hopefully meet him this next Sunday because we invite all the commissioners and the mayors to come to the events, and we introduce them at noon along with there's a new council general in Japan. I've been involved for about 15 years, and in that 15 years, I've probably worked with 4 or 5 different council generals because they come from Japan. And they usually have about a 2 to 3 year term, and then they get sent somewhere else, and we get a new one. And that's what happened. We have a brand new council general. I haven't met him yet. I will be meeting him Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Friday is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the Japanese New Year celebration. Right, Maya?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we get invited to that every time. A little sidebar. The Japanese Friends of Japanese Garden, we're going to be honored by the Japanese government with a foreign ministry commendation award, which is really
wow.
going to make that presentation at the beginning of this event coming Friday night. And that's nice. And we have always had a good relationship with the Consul General of Japan's office. And that's strong because not only do they help us promote the event through other organizations, there's the Asian American Association with Joshua Ho, and everybody's tied in through the Consul General of Japan. So when we have an event, we all promote each other's events, and that
Oh,
helps.
cool. Oh, that's good. That's fantastic. We're talking to Rick Del Vecchio and Maya
Nakamura. We lost your sound. We lost
Yeah.
Tommy. We lost Gary. We lost your sound. Make sure you're plugged in. I think he's looking to make sure if he could kick the wire out or something. Okay. Tommy, I sent you a link to a video. Is it possible to run that until Gary's sound gets back? I don't know if Tommy can hear me.
He should be, because he came on the screen too.
Okay. Yeah.
I was waiting for you. So
Well, if going back to hello people out there, you know, working with the city, there's a new parks director, Chris Evans, and we're going to be meeting with him also. Actually, Akiko has met with Chris, and they are making some changes at the garden that we asked for. And it's a small baby steps because it isn't expensive. We're looking to do a huge renovation, and with this Miami project, Watson Island project.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
You're back, yes.
yes.
So,
Can you guys hear me now?
yes,
Yes.
we can. So, yeah,
Can you guys hear me now?
yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah,
Hear me now?
yeah, we can. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with.
Oh, we lost again. If we could have the video clip, that would be perfect.
I know. I sent them the link. I don't know if he can technically do it. If you can, Tommy, the link I sent
Okay,
you.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's it. We got
Yeah,
you.
there we go. Okay.
Hold
All
on a
right.
second, right back. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. It does happen. It's and any particular Maya, what can
Yes.
families expect for their children at the event, which is going to be February 2nd at from 10:30 to 4 in the afternoon. It's free to get in. You have to pay for some parking, but other than that, everything else is free. Just about, except there's a few things you have to pay for when you get inside. And the doors open, I said, at 10:30. Is their winter festival for the Friends of the Japanese Garden on the MacArthur Causeway. What can families expect for the children to experience?
All right. So I usually run the kids corner, and this time we have this mask for ogre for the children's
Mhm.
color. So that's activities, and also the even the little kids, they can make the flower arrangement because we direct what to do and stuff, and also they can walk around and then look at the like a little gift from Japan and stuff, because usually like those cute like Hello Kitties, that's
Yeah.
little kids like to see and buy, and then the walk around. And we also have like a variety of Japanese food available,
Mhm.
and that little, like, it's called bento box, which is a lunch box, and we have some Japanese sweets, bread. So even though the garden itself is small, but we are packed with activities and then the things to do and to see. So even the little kids will usually enjoy. And then we have a calligraphy too. And then I think we just ask for like a donations, and we write the names in Japanese letters. And usually people like love to take that home with them.
Yeah.
So many things.
And what about the tea ceremony and the and you show the children how to dress in the kimono and things like that. How does that work?
All right. So tea ceremonies, I think we do like a 2 or 3 times, and that unfortunately we have a limited seating because we cannot prepare like 100 people's tea. So I think it's up to 20. And if you like to purchase the ticket ahead, we have a link available in our website right there, the Friends of Japanese Garden.
Mhm.
And then you can purchase the ticket ahead. And then you got the thing as well. And if you want to purchase ahead, but you can also, come to our event and get the ticket for the kimonos. But tea usually sells out. So if you want to experience the Japanese traditional tea ceremonies with the little sweets, I would say buy a ticket ahead of time before the event.
Yeah. You can go on to the website, which is right at the bottom of your screen, Friends of the Japanese Garden, or you can call 305-992-0703.
Correct.
You'll probably be speaking to Mr. Del Vecchio, and you can take care of that then. Tommy, do you have that video that Rick was speaking of? If you do, we'd love to see it. When you get an opportunity. When it comes to some of the other things that are going on, Rick, what are some of the other things that people can look forward to going there on February 2nd? Again, you're going to be open from 10:30 to 4, located on the MacArthur COSWAY. This is the Japanese Garden there. Beautiful facility. What else can people look forward to?
Well, for folks, of course, we have new folks that show up at every festival. We get between 600 and 800 attendees at each one of these festivals, and that fills up that 1.2 acre garden. It's really nice. Some people are repeat because they can give us their email address so they could see when we have our next festival. So we get a lot of repeat customers, but we get a lot of new folks too. But even for the repeat customers, they'll notice that we're getting different entertainment. The drummers, for years, we had 4 drummers, Fernando Moraes and his group. Fernando had to go undergo shoulder surgery years ago, and is no longer playing, but he recommended the Fushu Daiko, which is a much bigger organization, and they get maybe 8 to 12 players that come out. Wow. So they put on a really great show, and they perform 3 times throughout the day. A friend of mine, Alex. Alex is, for those who don't know, everybody who watches this show knows Alex Teixeira. He's the voiceover that opens the show.
Yes.
MainStreet with Gary Allen. Alex is a professional voiceover actor, but he is a real Renaissance man. This guy is also a psychic entertainer, mentalist, and he also plays several instruments. He plays the piano, and I found out a year or 2 ago, he plays the Japanese flutes. He has about 8 or 10 different flutes that he plays. But not only that, he gives the history of each flute when he does his little 15-minute set. So people will learn, not only hear the music, but they'll learn the difference between the several flutes that he brings. So that's pretty cool, and then, of course, we have the kendo, which is, as Maya pointed out, they use bamboo sticks because we don't want them cutting people in half. But in addition to it, we have another martial artist, Norberto Parra, and he has the samurai experience, which is a different type of martial arts that he demonstrates. So, you can look forward to the 2 different martial arts demonstrations, the Japanese flutes, the Taiko Drummers, as Maya pointed out, the Ikebana demonstration, actually the Ikebana workshops. All of this entertainment I'm telling you about is free. You walk in the door and the main stage has that, and the Ikebana is at tent number 1, and they have 2 seatings of workshops where you can learn the Japanese art of flower arrangements and walk away with a nice little arrangement that you made. Then they do have vendors that sell Asian gifts and crafts and things like that. We have a food court, and the tea ceremony, as Maya pointed out, is optional because it's about a 20-minute ceremony, and there are 30, I believe there's 30 seats at each one, Maya. At least that's what I was told. Hopefully it is. And that's $10, but it's about a 20-minute ceremony, plus you get a cup of green tea. And so it's a traditional ceremony. It's very nice. Now,
hey, Gary, I've got the video.
Sure. Okay, go with it. It.
Let me just drop off here real quick.
All right, go with it. I apologize. Wow. And that is going to be what you will see, some of that when you go on February 2nd
Yeah.
to the Japanese.
And the gentleman that was wearing the beige jacket, you saw him a couple of times, once on stage and sitting down. That was Mr. Nagai. He was the council general that just resigned and been replaced.
He
I
got
think
transferred. No, he just got transferred to another place.
And anyway, what's going to happen is that if you get there, doors will open at 10:30 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon.
right.
It's free to get in. You have to pay $15 if you park right next door. It's a fun time for everybody. You learn a little bit about the Japanese culture. You learn an awful lot about the people of Japan. You can ask questions, probably of the artists, no matter what the situation is after the demonstrations. I do recommend the tea ceremony myself, but then again, I'm kind of like, I kind of like to sit there and just drink tea all day long. I wouldn't really budge. I would just kind of sit there. Oh, I'm here for the second show, but please go. I think you're going to find it quite interesting. It's located at 1101 MacArthur Causeway. It's on February 2nd. It's the winter festival, the changing of the seasons. And I think you're going to have a whole lot of fun. We have Rick Del Vecchio with us, Maya Nakamura from the Japanese Garden, President and Vice President. Gary Allen with you here on Main Street. I keep having some issues with I don't know what's going on with the machine here today, but it keeps clicking on and off, and it's been doing that for a while. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. But at any rate, everything seems to be great. I think it's going to be a fun time for everyone. Is this the first festival of the new year?
Well, technically, yeah, because it is. But the new year, as far as the Dade County Grant organization goes, is actually October through the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
And so our grant that pays for this actually supposedly paid the November grant and the November event and this grant. And then in May, we have our last event. But for the new year of 2025, this is definitely the first one for the beginning of this year. And then we will have another one in May at the Spring Festival.
Okay, and then we'll have you back to talk about that. And of course, Maya must come back. She has to come back. Matter of fact, you can just send Maya. You don't have to come back yourself. As far as that's concerned. But at any rate, what else can we talk about with the garden? I mean, like I said, it has a rich and wonderful history in Miami. The culture is fantastic. The festivals are great.
Yeah.
Expand on that, guys.
Well, again, going back to this Watson Island project, I'm eager to, because the Herald interviewed me before they had the vote. And basically, we knew very little. So I reached out to Ken Russell, and he checked, and he says, Rick, it should turn out to be very good for everybody, very good for the garden. And now I just want to find out what they expect us to do, because we don't have the ability to, run the garden, especially if it's a new garden. I'm hoping that what I read in the Herald is true, that they're going to add about 6-7 acres to the garden, because then there's another garden in Delray called Murakami, and that is a beautiful Japanese garden. They have an indoor museum. They've got an indoor-outdoor restaurant that overlooks a beautiful lake, and I'd like to see that added. And I think it makes perfect sense if they're going to have luxury condos right next to the Japanese garden, and they have a Japanese restaurant on site that they could lease out to one of the Japanese restaurateurs, and make it overlooking the water, the lake, like they do with Murakami. That could be a destination for folks to actually, hey, let me go check this out. Because Murakami charges, the last time I was there a couple of years ago, it was $15 or $16 to get in, but well worth it, because you can spend the day walking around that garden. It's huge. And they have several lakes and ponds with different types of fish. And they have one area that's just bonsai trees, and another area that's ikebana and stuff, and like I said, they've got the museum with all the artifacts. So that would be a cool thing for us to aspire to, with our Japanese garden.
Right.
But,
I remember when I was living in Los Angeles, it's a large Asian community there as well, Maya.
Yeah.
And I remember a friend of mine, he took up the hobby of bonsai trees.
Oh, yeah.
and they're not easy to take care of. I mean, they don't need to be watered every 5 minutes, but they're to get them to look the way you want them to look. It's really an art form to do that.
Yes.
Is there anything of that going on during the festival?
Yes, actually, we have one of the vendors. They are known for the bonsai trees, so
Mm.
they're gonna have a little kiosk there to sell those bonsai, and the prices are not that bad. But like you said, it takes like a lot of time and patience to create those little tiny tree.
Oh,
It's not a
it
big tree; it
does.
is matured, but it's formed into the little tiny miniature one. So
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've seen in Japan itself, I've seen the large bonsais, and when I was taken around and when I was visiting and stuff. But it is an art form, and it's one that uh, is interesting. Talk to me about the origins, Maya, of the kimono as
kimono,
part of your wardrobe.
the kimono is it's a Japanese traditional clothes. But of course, now it's because of the mobility and stuff. We don't wear unless for the special occasions, and then that depends on the ceremonies. Like we have like formal ones, like tuxedo kind of thing, or casual ones, and then the like I used to do the tea ceremonies, and so for that we have a special kimono for it, and for during the summer we have a cotton type, which is yukata that you like to try at the Ichimura Garden, you get to do that too. But it's one size fits for all.
Yeah.
It's just a
Really?
piece of paper. The clothes, yes, it doesn't have a size. That's why for the lengths and stuff, we adjust it by the waist, and then the usually for the formal one, it's made from silk because that's what we used to have back then in Japan, and then
Yeah.
the over it we have a like decorative sash to tie all together, so it's really beautiful. And we just had um it's called Seiji no Hi, which is celebrating becoming 20 years old, like considered adult. So for
Yeah.
that event, usually young ladies wear the full length three, it's called furisode, to go to the festivals and stuff. So we do wear for those occasions like weddings and stuff.
Do the colors, the bright colors, have any significance if you wear a red one or a green one or a blue one? It's just up to the individual taste of what color you like.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, I used to wear Hawaiian shirts all the time when I was doing stand-up comedy. A, because it was much easier to be on stage with the bright lights shining on you. And I know the kimonos themselves are very, very lightweight, extremely lightweight, and very, very nice. So the colors themselves don't distinguish one person from another from another. It's just whatever colors you desire.
Yes, but for the like I said, for the say funerals and stuff, we have a black ones usually, and
Mm,
then the formal weddings. If you're like family of those getting married, then you wear the black one with the family crescent here. So it
yeah.
depends. So it's like more like simple colors and stuff. But usually kimono, yeah, I think it depends on what you like. It's not like because of this color or that. But then certain things, yes, we do have like black ones with crest. It's a special occasions and things like that. So,
Here's a
uh,
question that just come to mind because you were saying weddings. Are there any weddings held at the garden?
They the
mm,
answer they have no, they have though. But that wouldn't be through us. The city of Miami does issue permits for things like that. I know in the past, not that they get a lot of them, but I know
Hmm.
that was one of the ideas of Jungle Island prior to the COVID-19. A fellow named John Dunlap, he was the president of the Jungle Island, and his company, Iconic Ventures, they bought years ago the San Diego Zoo and turned it into a slum into a destination area, a tourist attraction. And
Yeah.
that was his idea for the Jungle Island. And he wanted to that we worked with him because he wanted to take over um, control of as they were going to build a 130 room hotel, which they got permission to. We helped lobby for that. And one of his ideas was to rent the garden out for weddings and things like that. And because Jungle Island has a great banquet hall. The Advertising Federation of Miami had their ad fed meeting there years ago. I'm talking 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And fantastic catering facilities. I mean, I still laugh. It's one of the best New York strip steaks I've had in my life was from Jungle Island.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
that was the idea. John's vision was to incorporate and knock. There is a wall. We have a cement wall around the garden for
Right.
security and also for noise because you have the MacArthur COSWAY. But the idea was to knock out the wall between us and Jungle Island and incorporate the two.
Right.
And this way, people who were staying at the new hotel that was going to be made could come right down the elevator and come into the garden. They could have cocktail parties there at night and stuff like that. And that was kind of what we were headed. But then COVID-19 came and killed that whole idea. And Mr. Dunlap turned it back to the city, and now we're back to square one. But now with this Watson Island project, there is hope that we can actually make this garden bigger and better than it ever was.
Well, are there any Japanese weddings ever held there, Maya?
No, I know, but as Rick mentioned, maybe we did have several.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know. I've had because my number pops up when anybody searches that, and I've had people ask me about having a wedding. Now I don't know if they were Japanese. They just says, "Can we have a wedding there, or a wedding reception there?" And I said, "Yes, you can, but you got to go through the city of Miami." And then because they have a permit, they have to go get a permit, and there may be a charge or whatever because it is a public park, but it's locked up at night. It's 9 to 5, so at night, they do rent it out. In fact, one time we had to rearrange our meeting, our event, because the Parks Department, who we deal with, but there's other departments, and they had a 3-week festival, and it was, if you remember, Maya, when they had that 7-ton jade Buddha that they put on display. It was some organization. They had this. It's huge. It was a huge sculpture, 7-ton Buddha, and they had an Asian festival for like 3 weeks there, and it happened. So we had to move our event, but they paid over $25,000 to rent that 3 weeks, with the city. So we don't pay anything because, like I said, our organization was founded with the sole purpose to work with the city to help maintain and promote the garden as well as promote the Japanese culture.
Absolutely.
And the video that we just saw reminded me, we didn't talk about it, but there's a huge population of not only Asian folks, but American kids that practice cosplay. And we do have a cosplay contest where they dress up in their favorite character, manga character. In fact, I think we even have a vendor that sells artwork that he does, which is like the Japanese cartoons and characters.
Okay.
And in fact, Stephanie, who runs it, she always comes dressed as character, and she's a well-known cosplay
figures. Yes.
Figure. Yeah. So, and that's also part of our festival.
Oh, well, I mean, there seems like there's going to be something for everyone. The festival is the Winter Festival, February 2nd, from 10:30 in the morning until 4 p.m. in the afternoon. It's free to get in. You have to pay for some parking next door for $15. There's some food and everything that you can be had there. A lot of activities going on from one ceremony to another. You get to learn the culture. It's a great way to spend the day with your family and learn something new and get out of the house. Yeah. I mean, that's the problem. Everybody stays in the house on their computer going crazy. Don't get out. Enjoy. Yeah. You get to meet wonderful people like Maya and Mr. Del Vecchio. I won't be there because they don't serve Swedish meatballs. But other than that, and that's a long-running joke. But at any rate, I mean, go there, enjoy, and you never know. You might want to go back and back and back. It's one of those kind of places and things in Miami that's a gem right there in the middle of Miami. How could you possibly go wrong in enjoying a wonderful, fabulous day? Take your wife, your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, drag them on out there and enjoy some great Asian culture at the Japanese Garden on MacArthur Causeway on February 2nd, which is going to be their winter festival. It's going to be fantastic. Now, Maya, you're not going to be wearing that mask all day long, are you?
No, I'm gonna be like this.
Okay. All right. All right. Here's the question. Kabuki. Okay. Do you ever put on any kabuki exhibitions?
No, no,
No,
because we have a culture like kabuki. It's like a Japanese, like a traditional opera, but we don't have those like makeup or anything. Maybe we should do it in the future, but
well,
uh,
it's funny. A friend of mine who's a magician, his name is Dale Scott, and he works. Basically, he has a motorhome, $100,000 motorhome, which he has a complete stage that he brings. Now, we couldn't use that. He'd have to use our stage, but when I first met him back in the 90s, he was doing a magic convention in Fort Lauderdale, and he did a magic show as a kabuki with the just with the makeup as a
Yeah.
Japanese performer.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'm not trying to promote Dale, but if you go on his website, you'll see pictures of him with Bob Hope, where he did a USO show with Bob Hope, where he was dressed with a kabuki thing, and Bob Hope is like mimicking his face. But
Yeah, when you see that and it's really done well, and
yeah,
Maya, you would know when it's done well, it's beautiful. It
yeah,
really is. I
yeah,
mean, the makeup's a little thick. I mean, I used to wear makeup on stage when I was performing in Las Vegas, but nothing
no,
like that. I mean, that's unbelievable. We are just about out of time. I
yeah.
want to thank Mr. Rick Del Vecchio, president of the Friends of the Japanese Garden, and probably one of the most wonderful guests I've had on here, Maya oh God, here I go.
Nakamura.
Nakamura. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at this. I do apologize for the audio issues. I don't know what exactly is going on, but I want to thank you both very, very much, and stay right there. When I conclude, I want to talk to you guys just for a couple of minutes after the show. So stay right there. And I just want to thank all of you out there for taking the time to enjoy this program today. Please go February 2nd, 10:30 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon, the Winter Festival at the Japanese Garden located on MacArthur Causeway. You can catch them at friendsofthejapanesegarden.com or dial them up at 305-992-0703. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.
sayonara.